All right. Well, if you're ready, I'm ready.
Sure.
Okay. Whew, it's been a long time since I've done this. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the shorter artist hour where I talk to my superbly talented friends that I think the world needs to know more about. And we might not talk for the whole hour, but that's okay because it's a shorter artist hour because I'm Susan Shorter. And today we have my friend who is one of the visual masters of surreal and spellbindingly dark art, Leo Gonzales. Yay. How have you been? Have you recovered from IX?
Yeah. I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things and get back to tattooing and
Oh, yeah.
get motivated to get painting again. Not that I don't leave with a ton of motivation, but I usually get to IX with total burnout from preparing for it all year long.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I usually take like a month to kind of recuperate before I get totally back into the swing of things. So it's about time I get to work.
Same here. I've got a lot of things sketched up, but I've only had like 1 or 2 days of actually painting. Did you know it's not called a LuxCon? I just found that out the other day. It's straight up IX.
That's what they say, but it'll always be a LuxCon to me.
Okay, because I've been calling it that in the podcast. That's what I tell people I'm going. I think I even have it on my website.
In
So,
fact, I can't break the habit. I've always called it IlluxCon, and everybody calls it a LuxCon.
oh, I could see that. Well, for anybody who doesn't know, that's how we met is because we both do IX. And but you're always in the main show. Your spot is like right as you come in the front doors and you're just greeted with all these surreal and dark undulating forms that are fucking fantastic. And Tashina and I are always drawn to like the eyeballs. For lack of better words, they always look so squishy. They look like you could pop them on the canvas. They're so three-dimensional. Like the first time I saw them, I had to get like right up on it to make sure it wasn't like a 3D effect that you did. So I know you love reptiles and stuff. Do you use them as reference, or are these just things that come out of your brain?
I think for the most part, they just come out of my brain. Definitely the reptiles are always there in the background somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, I have studied them at length, their physiology and what have you. So I think maybe subconsciously that's
Yeah.
coming over, but it's not something intentional. Like I've never used them as actual reference.
Yeah. When I
Hmm.
was looking at your portfolio, I saw like, and it might have been just where my brain was going, but like maybe the color palette of Frazetta and like the way Boris Vallejo does his muscles and stuff like that. Are these artists that influenced you, or is there who really got under your skin whenever you were starting to paint?
Those guys were definitely huge influences, and still are. I think very early on as a kid, there was definitely influences coming in through, well, I started out drawing dinosaurs. I was obsessed with dinosaurs. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to do for a living. Initially, was be a paleontologist. And then I remember one day walking into a pet store at the local mall, and they had a big Nile monitor lizard, and it blew my mind. I was like, "You can have Komodo dragons as pets?" And from there, it switched from this, I'm going to dig up dinosaur bones for a living, to I'm going to own dinosaurs one day
Oh my
and
God.
I'm just going to be an artist.
Oh, they
So I was
creep me
drawing lots
out.
of dinosaurs, and I think the early stuff was probably those old murals that you saw in the natural history museums,
Yeah.
uh, picture books, things like that. As I
Was it,
got
was it
old,
Gurney that they always thought was that his name? The one that did like the dinosaur fantasy books?
oh yeah, James Gurney. But yeah, he came much later, but definitely, yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
Um, Pusshead was a huge early influence on me. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I am.
Yeah, old punk rock stuff.
Oh yeah.
He was doing Metallica's artwork and the Misfits and a number of bands. But when he first came on the scene, and this is probably like late elementary, early middle school. That stuff blew my mind. And of course, the parents hated it, so it was cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I'm 47 and I ran with the metal and the punk crowd and stuff. So that's right up my alley.
awesome. Yeah.
Now, all your stuff does seem to have like that dark vibe, like Pusshead and all of that. Do you know where that came from and all the natural elements and all that? But it all is kind of macabre.
Yeah, so part of it comes, I think, stems from the dinosaurs and Godzilla and
Yeah.
being really intrigued with. I remember I had this old, I think it was like Burger King or something. They had one of their little toy promotions, and my grandma took us there, and I got a Phantom of the Opera little action figure, and I was
Wow.
so enamored by this figure and it frightened me and it elated me at the same time. So it
Yeah.
was definitely old monster movies, Ray Harryhausen, Sinbad, the old Ray Harryhausen Clash of the Titans movies and
Okay.
stuff like that. Um, uh, Lord of the Rings was a giant influence on me at an early age.
Yeah.
But I think some of the dark stuff also, I know that some of the dark stuff also came over from, so I grew up on a haunted property. Um,
Really? Where
yeah,
at?
Pojoaque, New Mexico. So it's a little tiny Indian pueblo, just outside of Santa Fe, about
Yeah.
17 miles north of Santa Fe. And we lived in a trailer on the property, and then I think I was 6 years old. My dad built our house and we moved into the house, but the weird phenomenon started happening. It was never with my brothers or my dad. It was always me and my mom. um, she started waking up at night and seeing this fog in the house, and it was in her room and in my room. I was 3 months old,
Oh my,
and I was waking up crying from my crib every night as she woke up, and there was this fog in the house. Nobody, my dad couldn't see it, thought she was crazy. Um, as time went on, she started seeing these black shadow figures in the house. I've just had numerous experiences there. Voices in my room, like scary shit,
yeah.
like terrifying.
No, I
Uh,
could 100% relate. We
and
could
my
hear stories
family
all
is
night.
like super hyper Catholic, right?
Okay.
So they actually had three full-blown Catholic masses said on the property, and
Wow.
like numerous priests coming by to bless things. And the phenomenon would stop for a while, and then shortly, you know, several years later, there would be an incident, something happening. And I found out, like I moved, right, and since I've moved, I've had numerous supernatural experiences at various places, but nothing as frightening as what happened there at that property.
I think whenever
And
you experience it as a kid, it leaves you open to that.
it
Because, yeah.
absolutely, and it my parents, who are already super religious, I think it heightened that, and it just
Mm,
skyrocketed,
yeah.
how devout and religious they became, even more so from this stuff happening.
Wow.
um Me, I mean, it terrified me, absolutely
Yeah.
terrified me, but there was also this huge fascination with that. And so, my house, as you can see, is kind of creepy. The tattoo shop, my corner of the tattoo shop's pretty creepy. It's just, I'm positive that that left some kind of an imprint on me, you
For
know.
sure.
But I don't. I think that there's also something innately in me. I've always felt that I've been just drawn to that kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the influence of that stuff.
That left me with a few questions. One, okay, your dad didn't experience it, but he was like devoutly religious and all that. So I'm impressed that he like believed you guys enough that he would still go through with like allowing the priest to come out and all of that.
After a while, he apparently wasn't seeing that anything, but he would wake up with my mom and he would like say, "Are they here?" And she'd point to the corner of the room, and he could feel like some that there was something there. He just wasn't experiencing it like she was.
Yeah.
And I growing up, I had always heard these little snippets. I'd like walk into a room and my mom would be talking to the neighbors or to relatives or to friends, and I would catch a snippet and she would stop once I walked in, and I'd say, what are you talking about? Oh, nothing. I'm telling them about a movie I saw. She would downplay it.
Yeah.
And when I think I was 15 or 16 years old, I finally confronted her and was like, what's the deal? I keep hearing this
Mm,
story, like what happened? And she's like, okay, I think you're old enough for me to tell you. And she started telling me, and I remember little bits from when I was younger, but there was a great span where nothing had happened, right?
yeah.
And then 1 week before I moved out of the house, like I left the nest for the first time, it was exactly 1 week. I had been that day in particular, for some reason I had been um, thinking about all this phenomenon. I'm getting ready to leave and move to another city, and there's big change in the air. And I had been questioning, did this stuff really happen? Mom and dad are so religious and like all this miracle stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, was that just that I was impressionable and I thought that I was experiencing these things. And that very night, as I was getting ready for bed, there was if you want me to tell you the whole story.
Sure, I'm down. I love this stuff.
um I was getting ready for bed and everybody had gone to sleep, and I was sitting down on the floor listening to some scary death metal. I remember it was a band called Carcass.
Oh, yeah, I know them.
I was listening to Carcass, and suddenly I just got this feeling that came over me, like all the hair on my body stood up on end, and I just felt freaked out. Just this feeling came over me, and I got kind of spooked, and I stopped the music, and I was like, "Dude, you're scaring yourself with this stupid music." So I left to go get ready for bed, and how my room was situated was there was a bathroom right next to my room, and I had the door to my room closed and the door to the bathroom open, and then the door from the bathroom to the rest of the house closed. So I was sealed off from the rest of the house.
Okay.
Just my room and the bathroom were open. And I was in the bathroom taking off my contacts, and I heard somebody say something. I opened up the door and said, "What?" And nobody answered. So I closed it. I continued. I heard it again. I opened it up and said, "Did you say something?" Nobody answered. So I went back and then I heard it again. And I went into my room and checked like all the headphones, my alarm clock, the stereo that I had just been playing, little boombox. Nothing was on. And then I heard it again, and it sounded like whispering, and it sounded like several voices and almost sounded like children. And I thought, oh great, there's some kids screwing around outside or something.
Yeah.
So I went to the window, and we had those old crank style windows, and I
Yeah.
cracked it open and I stick my head outside, and I'm looking from side to side, and there's nobody out there. And then I heard it right behind me, and I swear to God, like I could not move. I gripped the windowsill and was frozen. I could not move. I couldn't cry out. I was just frozen. And it continued on for a bit. And once it stopped, I like gained control of my facilities, jumped over the bed, ran into the living room, yelling for my mom. She comes upstairs to the landing and is like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Told her, and she started walking downstairs. And about halfway down the stairs, I heard it coming from my room. And she stopped on the stairway and like paused. So anyhow, she goes into the kitchen and she had some holy salt that had been blessed by a priest from
Oh,
one of the previous
wait, pause
situations.
that real quick. I need to plug in my Mac or it's going to die. And I will edit this part out and we'll start again with the salt.
That's ghosts. That's the ghosts.
Fucking ghost,
They
man.
did
How'd
that.
they drain me? It was full a second ago. Now I gotta find my cord. Anywho, okay. So yeah, you cranked out the windows. You heard they heard the voice behind you.
So yeah, so my mom goes into the kitchen, gets this salt that had been blessed by a priest from one of the previous situations there at
That's
the house,
handy.
right? Yeah, she always had holy salt and holy water in the kitchen in the cabinet, just,
Badass.
just in case.
Yeah.
Catholic mom.
Oh yeah.
So anyhow, we go into the room and she goes into so we go into the room and it's quiet, and then all of a sudden it starts up again, and she goes into Catholic mom mode, in the name of Jesus Christ, you have no power here, da da da
Yes.
da, starts
My mom
praying.
taught me that as a kid. Yeah.
And all of a sudden these voices that sounded like several voices and sounded like children and sounded like whispering turned into one voice. It sounded male, it sounded very hoarse and gruff,
No.
and it
Mm-mm.
sounded like a language, and it didn't sound like any language I've ever heard. Like it wasn't, it didn't sound Native American, Cantonese, it didn't, German. It sounded like a language, but I've never heard anything like it. And I
That's
shrunk against the wall, like terrified. And my mom, like, I remember she reached back, put her hand on me and said, "Don't show it that you're afraid. It
mm,
doesn't have any power." And she kept going. And the voice, I always tell people, the voice didn't, the volume didn't go down. It's like it got further away. It was still going, but
yeah.
it felt like almost like panes of glass were going up, and it was leaving this plane until it was gone.
Wow.
And I never stayed in that room ever again. I
Yeah.
slept on the couch whenever I visited for the rest of the week before I moved out. I was sleeping on the couch. I would not go back into that room or
Sure.
sleep in it. And what's wild is a few years later, my parents ended up selling the house and the property and moving, and they found out, not they didn't know when they bought the property, but when they were selling it, they found out that that property and some of the surrounding properties were like old burial ground for the pueblo when it was first established.
Wild.
So there's definitely something there, and it was wild. I hadn't seen my next door neighbors for ages, like um, over a decade.
Yeah.
After I had moved away, I might, when I visited, see them out in the yard and waved or whatever, but we hadn't really sat and talked. And I ended up running into them many, many years later, over 10 years later, and they ended up asking me if they could ask me something strange. I'm like, "What's that?" And they said, "That house and that property you guys used to live at, did anything strange ever happen there?" And I said, "Yeah, it was fully haunted." And without me telling them anything, they said that, like a couple weeks after I had moved out of my parents' house, that their youngest son had been hearing voices in the house, and the dad had seen these black shadow figures a couple of times in the house.
Wow.
And I told them, "Yep." So anyhow, find this stuff fascinating. I hope
Yeah.
I never have those experiences again, because it's terrifying.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, it's
And
good
it
you at least
sounds
had. Oh, go ahead.
and it sounds totally crazy when I tell people this. Some people who've had experiences and believe this stuff, they're like into it and they're
Yeah.
fascinated. Other people are like, I believe that you believe you
Yeah.
experienced something, but there's some kind of scientific explanation for it, and I don't believe there is.
I had one girl that was actually rude enough to laugh at me because I believe in this stuff. I was like, I just, I had experiences before I knew whether or not it was something to be believed. They just were a part of my everyday life.
Yeah,
So, you're lucky though that you had your mom to kind of be validating that that's what you were experiencing. Because for me, when I was growing up, it was my brother and I, but my parents didn't see shit. But one thing that was validating is after we moved out and my mom came back to get some of our last things that were still left, she said that the new people had scripture taped up in all of the windows. So that tells me that they were also experiencing some of that crazy shit. I
yeah.
heard the voices and lights and shadows and all that fun stuff too. But that's what kind of surprises me though, that you're drawn to like collecting oddities and some dark objects. Are you afraid about anything being attached to it? Do you buy any old stuff?
You know, no, I don't have a lot of old stuff. I do
Okay.
have some human bones stuff. That stuff's at the shop, and I've been very careful about saging it and going through like a ritual cleansing kind of thing. And I've had things brought to me that were like, "Hey, do you want to buy this or you want to trade for this?" that I've gotten
Yeah.
that's made my skin crawl and been like, nope, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
So I think for the most part, I feel pretty in tuned with that kind of energy, and I can, I've never the stuff that I have in my house, like the human remains kind of stuff. I've never felt creeped out by, and I respect it. I feel very lucky to have these pieces, and I don't try to use them to freak my friends out or whatever. Like I kind of do have reverence for those things. And as far as the art stuff, like I have that piece of Tom's with your hair in it.
Yes, I was gonna mention that. It's like you have my hair in your home. That's or at your shop.
That's actually at the shop, but yeah,
That's so
that
wild.
stuff, like Tom's stuff, is so over the top creepy, which
Yeah.
is why I love his stuff the most. It's so disturbing looking,
Yeah.
but there's also so much personality and character, and
Beauty.
he's a genius, and I don't find these things scary or repulsive like a lot of people do. Like
Yeah.
I really do have an affinity with that kind of thing.
I do think the Fiji mermaid is beautiful and she looks real. She looks so
Yeah.
freaking real. And Tom's studio is one state over and you remember Jacob Walker. He's one of my best friends that we live
Hmm.
close by. I think the two of us and maybe Tashina are gonna because he's invited me to come for a studio tour and I just
Oh
can't
man,
imagine being in there and seeing all of that and being surrounded by it.
totally. We keep joking
Mhm.
around about me going out there to tattoo him. He doesn't have any tattoos, but he said if he
Oh,
ever
yeah.
got one, it would be me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I will come to you and tattoo you for free just to see your studio and hang out with your weirdness.
Yeah. Well, that kind of gets us back on the art talks. Like, besides being an awesome painter, like you're also a very successful tattoo artist. So, do you kind of feel like a painter who also tattoos, or a tattoo artist that likes to paint in your free time? Is there one that is more you than the other?
It fluctuates. It's fluctuated throughout my life. When before I discovered tattooing, I wanted to be a painter, and that's what I was just doing nonstop at the house. Anytime I wasn't at work or what have you, I was at the house painting.
Yeah.
And then we started getting into tattooing. It was so strange. My roommate came home one day and just said, "Hey man, I have this idea. We're gonna save up for tattoo equipment and learn how to tattoo and tattoo each other." I was like, "Cool." And it was that, like, nonchalant. Like I wasn't thinking
Wow.
I want to do this for a living. I was literally thinking that would be a cool medium to explore, you know. And then once we did get tattoo equipment and started doing it, I just became consumed by it.
Yeah.
And painting got put on the back burner for a long time. And it needed to be because, even the guy who I just apprenticed, Jeremy De La Rosa, he's tattooing now full time. But initially, when he was apprenticing, he's an amazing oil painter, and I told him, "You got to put that away for now. Don't even touch it.
Yeah.
You need to focus on this because it's hard, and it takes the dedication that it takes. You're going to need to put all painting aside." So I had to do that for years. Um, Slowly I've come back into painting, but painting never paid the bills. Tattooing was what always paid the bills. So initially it was a great thing that I had going. What I would do is I would paint whenever I had my free time or whatever. I was painting on the side and tattooing for a living, and whenever I was able to sell a painting or any of my art outside of tattooing,
Yeah.
I would I was so reluctant to sell paintings, because I put so much into them.
Yeah.
So how I justified it was I would go and buy art from another artist, and then I didn't feel like I had lost anything.
I love
Um,
that.
so slowly the painting collection or the art collection grew as I painted and sold.
Yeah.
It was fueling like an art habit. And meanwhile, tattooing was putting bread on the table. Um, Things have changed. Tattooing is just caving in on itself these days.
I've been
Like
seeing
there
some
is
posts about
so,
that.
what's that?
So I've been seeing some posts about that, that it's
Yeah,
not
it's
going so
insane,
well.
man. And I've seen it happening. Like, I've called it out. I feel like locally I'm that angry old man, get off my lawn,
Yeah,
because I've been so adamant about no apprentices, doors are closed, the soup is too thin, kind of thing. And I also, that's been tempered a bit in recent years because I've also had a couple of amazing artists who became tattoo artists, and they had approached me about apprenticeships, and I was like, nope, not interested. And
yeah.
then, 2 years later, I was seeing what they were doing, and I was like, man, I sure shot myself in the foot on that one. That
Oh,
they would have been great to work with,
yeah.
um, and they're great. They've gone on and they're doing awesome, and it's tempered my feelings of maybe the doors aren't closed, but anyhow, there's just, for the most part, too many tattooers, too many tattoo shops, and everybody is struggling. Business has gone down. Like, it's crazy. I'm used to being booked out, 2 months, 3 months easily. I usually stop it at that because I don't want to get that far ahead in my schedule.
Sure.
And now it's not the case. And I'm seeing that down the line. I'm seeing veteran tattooers who are going out and getting um, jobs, regular jobs, because tattooing is just not paying the bills anymore. So it's a double-edged sword for
Yeah.
me. I've always wanted to have time to paint more, and now I do.
By choice or not.
Yeah,
That does make sense because, like, when we were growing up, some people had tattoos. It wasn't as big as thing. Like, it just blew up. Everybody had tattoos and
yeah,
tattoos everywhere. So that makes sense. Then young creatives be like, well, I'll just be a tattoo artist. And now we have
yeah.
too many tattoo artists.
Well, it's, when I was coming into this, I just got closed door after closed door after closed door. And I was so angry and upset and like, why is there's all this gatekeeping? And now and as I got into it, I understood. And I'm glad there was. And I proved to myself and to my peers that this wasn't, um, I wasn't trying to make quick money. I wasn't trying to be cool guy. This
Yeah.
is in my blood, and I was going to do it no matter what it took. And I sacrificed, and I bled for it, literally. And I got my foot in the door. And this is like mid '90s. I remember thinking, man, I'm one of the last ones. I'm so lucky that this, like, doors are closed now.
Yeah.
Nope, that's not. TV shows happened, and the internet blew up, and you know, back in the day, if somebody came in and they wanted a tattoo of a giraffe, I'd have to go, okay, I need to go to the zoo, and I need to go to the
Yeah.
library and look at some National Geographics and go to
Hell
the
yeah.
bookstore. And now it's all at your fingertips.
Yeah.
There's how-to tattoo videos on YouTube, and it's craziness.
I remember saving my mom's catalogs, so like especially like the women within their bras and underwear and stuff, so then I could draw from the model
Oh
right
yeah.
there. Yeah, I used to save all that stuff. But during your path in the career of an art lifestyle, have you ever just felt like, fuck it, having an art career is too hard. I'm just going to get my realtor's license and play it safe.
There's been times where, especially when tattooing was really, really busy, and I just was feeling burnt out, and I go through that phase all the time. There at least twice a year, I get to a place where I'm just feeling burnt out.
Yeah.
And there's times where I've thought, you know what, I'm gonna go get a job at the local gas station for a month, just to get away from doing this, to not have to be creative 24/7, just
Yeah.
give myself a break, and then to come back and love what I do again. And I've never gone that far as to do that. But there's nothing else. I have no other skill set. like, like I don't know what I'm gonna do when this falls apart, because this
Well,
is what I do.
We'll just find another stepping stone because I'm always like, yeah, any other job I've tried, I either quit or they let me go because I was just not engaged whatsoever. It's like it has to be creative. And throughout my whole life, I'm always like, well, what am I going to do if I can't do this? But as long as we keep pushing, I think a door will keep opening.
Yeah.
So, and we're here talking about having careers now, so that's pretty fucking awesome.
I keep having to tell myself, not just with the art thing, but just in general with life, I keep having to remind myself, every bit of stressing out that you've ever done your entire life, and I stress out. I've got anxiety out the wazoo. I got social anxiety. I always worry that at IX, how I come off or am perceived because I am struggling with such social anxiety the whole time. Um, but I've told myself every little ounce of stressing that you've ever done on your life has never changed the outcome of anything. It's going to be what it's going to be, no matter how much you worry about it.
Yeah.
So,
But it's
but
so hard not to stress. Yeah, I just
but
can't do
that's
it.
easier said than done.
Yeah. So I know you do IX, and I'm sure you probably do some other like gallery shows here and there, but do you ever do like oddities shows or tattoo shows or anything where people can see your work?
I've done a number of tattoo conventions. I don't. I stopped doing them just because they were more of a money sink than a money maker for me.
Oh,
Even if I was super busy the whole time, the cost of the booth, eating out, hotels, da 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 da. I'm busier just staying home and working because I was busy nonstop. So um, they became more of a thing where I could reconnect with my tattoo family
yeah.
and so I still do the local tattoo show here. I've been thinking lately because tattooing has slowed down so much that I maybe I've shot myself in the foot all these years and I need to get myself out there more and do more shows. Same thing with just the art stuff. Like I started out in 2009. It was the second DeluxeCon, as it was known. And I did the showcase, and I did that for a number of years. And then I just would also just go as a collector.
Yeah.
Um, but I haven't really done any shows outside of that, other than local gallery shows and stuff. I've had other galleries out of state reach out to me and what have you. I applied for Gen Con for the first time this year, so fingers crossed.
Right
Uh,
on.
one of the guys who puts on Monster Palooza had contacted me a few years ago saying that they were interested in having me do their show. So I think I'm going to look into that.
That'd be cool.
It's lately I'm starting to go, okay, I need to branch out and it's not going to come to me necessarily. I got to go out to it.
Well, and things like Gen Con and stuff like that, you're going to still be surrounded by your people. Yeah, it's overwhelming and socially draining and all of that stuff, but it's so nice when you can look over and be like, oh, there's Omar. Oh, there's Fion, and just
The,
that
the
helps.
big problem with I'm going to have with Gen Con is not wanting to be at my booth and wanting to be playing games
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole time because I am a gaming nerd. I still like we've done it for over 10 years now where I have a group that comes over every Monday night fights. We play
Wow.
the role playing or board games or miniature war games. Um, I, I've been obsessed with it since I was a kid. It's never left me. So being at Gen Con is,
Well,
it,
you'll just have to get there early or stay late. Like once our park closes, then you have your fun.
that's what I heard is that there's games going on 24
Oh my
hours.
God. And there's this underground tunnel that runs from where we are to the Lucas Oil Stadium. And that's you've seen how big it is, probably from the Colts
Yeah.
games and stuff. That's just full of people gaming.
Yep.
So you can wrap shit up, and grab a beer and then go through the tunnel and
Yep.
go have some fun. But this just segues into like you were telling me, five-time winner of the Golden Demon Awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that. I know I'm not a gamer, but I have majority of my friends are, and I'm sure they would freak out about that.
So yeah, it's through Warhammer, the Games Workshop, the company that does Warhammer. They do. I don't even know this nowadays what the actual event is called where they hold the Golden Demons because I'm kind of out of the loop. But it used to be called Games Day, and it was a big gaming convention, and then they held this prestigious miniature painting contest called the Golden Demons.
Yeah.
And again, since like middle school years, I dreamt that I was going to paint miniatures and win the Slayer sword. And finally, in 2006 and in 2007, I went to the LA Games Day. So they do.
Cool.
There was three different ones in Europe and three different ones in the States, and I went to the Los Angeles Games Day and competed and killed it 2 years in a row.
I saw your pieces, like they're so detailed and all of that. And whenever I film these or whenever I edit, I always pop up pictures of the art. So I'm definitely going to be sharing that on the screen while we're
Oh,
talking.
cool.
They look so freaking cool. And you still game every Monday, huh?
Still game, and I don't paint miniatures nearly as much anymore. It's weird because I have this. It's total guilt. I'll some new models will come out, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to put those together and paint them.
Yeah.
And I find some time to do it, and I start painting, and I get halfway through the project, and I start having the little voice on my shoulder going, "You shouldn't be. You should be painting paintings." And I eventually say, you know what, you're right, and I put it aside. Usually, when I do get to paint miniatures, it's because I'm in total oil painting burnout and I need a break from it. And I'll switch and paint some miniatures. That helps to
Yes.
refresh things. And I quickly burn out, and the miniatures are so tedious. They quickly burn me out, and I can't wait to get back to oil painting. So I do use it for that as well, you know?
Maybe I should get back to that or start doing that because I
Yeah.
need to break sometimes. And well, I guess I do graphic design for work, but anywho, I did want to ask you that made me think of a couple different questions. One is you've been posting a lot of merch now. You're having hoodies with your or done with all of your art and stuff. Did
Mhm.
they find you? Did you find
You
them?
know what? I stumbled across that and I'm still feeling it out, you know. So they had an amazing Ozzy Osbourne hoodie with the album cover that Boris Vallejo painted back in the
Yeah,
80s. And I was like, oh my God, I have to have that hoodie. So I ordered it and they said it officially licensed. So I ordered the hoodie, got it, and was like, man, the quality is amazing. And as I started exploring their site, I saw that they had like a design studio thing. And I'm like, what's this? And it said that I needed to sign up to use it. So I signed up, and it's basically allowing me to put my art onto t shirts, hoodies, denim jackets,
that's awesome.
a number of things. So the catch is I make hardly anything off of this. You
Okay,
know,
yeah, that's how
not a money
Threadless is.
maker really. If I a $65 hoodie will net me like $9.75,
Okay.
which isn't horrible, but it isn't very great.
Yeah,
But on the one hand, I'm not making much money off of it. But on the other hand, I'm also not putting up any of the upfront costs.
yeah,
I'm not having them made. I'm not paying for anything. And now people get to wear my art,
yeah.
and it gets it out there. So I decided I'm gonna put this out for a while, see how it does. And if anything, I want hoodies and t-shirts with my artwork. I want to wear them. So
Oh, yeah.
that was the impetus for it. Um,
Well, you
so
gonna
we'll
sell
see how
any?
it does.
Yeah, you should sell some in your shop.
Yep,
Like you get like the artist version or whatever, like the cheaper price, and then resell them. I don't know.
yep. I'm still working out all the logistics for it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Is it just going to be online as far as what they do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But it's been super fun just sitting down and designing,
Yeah.
right sleeve, left sleeve, the inside of the hood, like all the aspects of it,
You
you
can
get to
even do the
design it.
inside?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's super fun, just putting them together, whether they sell or not.
yeah.
I've had fun. It's distracting me from my other duties, but it's been fun.
Yeah, it's still creative. So, are there any artistic goals left? Like, would you do an art book with all of your paintings, or would you like love to do album artwork for one of your favorite bands or something? Like any big goals?
I actually, early on when I was first starting to learn to tattoo, I was doing album cover art for
I can
for like
see that.
local punk rock bands and stuff. Um, uh, I would love to do a book. I think that has always been like if I could have a book with my art, that's like the ultimate achievement for me. Um,
Kickstarter, something. I could
yeah,
totally see it.
yeah. I just gotta produce enough work, you know. So that's currently what I'm doing is just trying to make art. Eventually, yeah, I definitely want to do art books and
And then have the free time to put it all together and all that good
yeah,
stuff.
right.
Looking at your collection behind you, I'm assuming you have a pretty massive collection. Do you have a couple that are your favorites? Like, what are your favorite gems that you've gathered?
Definitely the crown prince of the collection would be an original Boris Vallejo.
No
Yep,
shit.
yep. And that was the second IlluxCon I attended, which would be 2010. It took me a while to save up for it, but absolutely worth it. Um, I did a commission with Brahm that ended up turning into a painting that I did for IX this year. I approached Brahm with this idea for a painting, pitched it to him, had a pretty detailed, well thought out, idea,
Yeah.
and he loved it. And he said, "You know what? You're an artist. I'm an artist. Why don't we turn this into like a collaboration of sorts? You feed me your ideas. I'm gonna do sketches. You tell me what you like, what you don't like, feed me more ideas, and we bounce off of each other back and forth until we come up with the drawing for this painting, and then I'll paint it." And so he did it. And then a couple of years later, I came up with the idea for the male counterpart to the character in that painting and pitched it to him. And again, he said he loved it. He would love to do it, but he was in the middle of writing a novel, his next novel. So he said, just keep checking back with me. It's probably going to be a while out, but just keep checking back. Well, I checked back for, I think, like 14 years.
Oh
I
my
kept
God.
checking every year. So, and cool. I was always, understand. I'll check
Yeah.
in next year. And I kept checking in. And then last year, I was like, you know what? How would you feel? And feel free to say no, but how would you feel being that initial painting was all my ideas, and now I'm bringing you ideas for the next one? What if I paint it, take my ideas, and just do a painting that's like an homage to the original painting that you did and its male counterpart? He said, I'd love that. Can't wait to see what you do with it. So that turned into a big piece that I brought for IX. But that initial commission is also one of my absolute favorites
Yeah.
that hangs in the collection.
I remember watching your progress on the mail one that you just finished, and it was so exciting. It's just such a neat story that little kid Leo had to be so excited that you're working on a piece with Brahm and all of
Oh,
this shit.
totally.
Like, that's freaking amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
with IX, you went from showcase to main show. Have you ever gone back to the showcase? Which do you like better? Would you, because like Jacob and I have both been talking about maybe, well, once we've had a few more things painted this year, hopefully trying
Hmm.
the main show in 27. Any idea?
Well, I love aspects of both of them. The showcase is great because you're not chained to a booth for the whole week. Although I'm really not chained to the booth, and people are always like, "You're never at your booth." There's too much cool stuff to look at.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, when I was doing the showcase, I was showing a lot of stuff that wasn't framed, and I would package it all and send it all out, ship it, and fly out. Now that I'm doing the main show, because I use such heavy ornate frames, I'm driving out every year, which is a slog.
I bet.
It's like about 33 hours to get there and then 33 hours to get back on the road. So it's 3 days of driving there, 3 days of driving back initially, essentially.
All right. I can't bitch about coming from Indiana anymore.
No. And there's always a sense of adventure and like hitting the road and doing this.
Yeah,
But by the time I get back every year, I am wiped. So yeah, there's just no way I would drive my stuff out if I was only doing the showcase,
makes
you
sense.
know. And maybe one day I'll figure out, like, I'm just so afraid of shipping and the fact that
Yeah.
nobody's going to insure it and the nightmares that have happened. I'm like, I'd rather just take the not take the chance and drive it myself, you know.
IX main show is amazing to where there's always there's new artists to get excited about, but there's also artists that like I've grown up seeing their paintings, seeing their work my whole life. Do you ever get starstruck or have you ever been starstruck by
Every
any
year.
every year?
All the time. Yeah. I have to really try to reel the fanboy in me in because I'm beside myself, you know, with a lot of these people.
Yeah.
The first IX that I went to, a LuxCon, in layman's terms,
Yeah.
um, was 2009. So it was the second one. And how I discovered it was I was on Brahms' site and it said appearances. And I was like, oh, he's going to be, he had two appearances. One was at Comic Con, Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle. And then the second one was IlluxCon, a LuxCon. See?
Yep.
And I was like, what is this? So I clicked on it and I just couldn't believe it. And I had always thought I'd never been to Gen Con, but I was like, you know, what drew me into D&D and gaming and all of that in the first place was the artwork. And I was like, I love the gaming aspect of it, but I'd be totally stoked if we could get rid of the gaming part and just have a convention with the art.
Yeah.
So when I saw this website for a LuxCon, I was like, this is what I've been, this, I call it Leo Palooza.
Hell
It's
yeah.
always been my name for IlluxCon. Like, it was, so anyhow, I was like, I have to do this. I have to do it. So I got in the showcase and I had never, ever, this is 2009, I had never been on a trip by myself, never gone out anywhere on my own. This is the first time I did it. And flew into Pittsburgh and had to drive into Altoona where it was being held back then. And preview night, which is Wednesday night,
Yeah.
it was like half an hour before showtime. And I was shaking. I was
Oh,
physically shaking. And I had to message one of my friends. I was texting with them and I was like, I can't do it. I can't go in there. Like, I'm too afraid. And he was like, Leo, you tighten up your belt, put on your shoes, and go meet your heroes.
yes.
And I was so nervous. And I walked in, and it was totally the complete opposite of what I was used to coming from the tattoo world. Especially back then, things were so tight-lipped and guarded secrets, and nobody, you know, nobody, unless you were tight friends with somebody, nobody gave their secrets out. Nobody was helpful. It was very much little cutthroat, you know.
Yeah.
And I walked into a LuxCon and it was totally the opposite. Everybody was so giving of information and wanting everybody to push themselves further. And even the big guys were like, you know, there was this air in the air about, oh, did you see what so and so did? Man, I need to step it up next year. You
Yeah.
know, there's this
Love
healthy
it.
you know, climate of what would you call it?
No, it's just an incredible community. And
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, very supportive
And
and
it's become like family over the years. It
yeah,
feels like an art family, you know.
it does. I get so excited to come each year. And it's not even about like, am I going to make a sale or this or that? It's like I just get to be with everybody.
Oh yeah.
And, it's like I feel like they're family members that I just didn't get to meet until later in life. I just
Yeah.
yeah, so supportive. And I'm still like, there's a few people that I still get totally, just starry-eyed,
Me
stupid
too.
around, but but I'm trying. But
Yeah.
Gen Con was that for me. I live in Indiana. I had no idea that all those artists were there. I thought it was just a gaming convention. I never thought twice. And I forget who even told me. And I found out, oh, Donato's going to be there. Omar's going to be there. All these people. I cried my first day when I got to go and meet all these people. And now look at us. We're all doing shows together. And it's just
Yeah.
fucking
My
amazing.
my 15-year-old self
Yeah.
head has exploded,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, well, okay. We have very weird jobs, not ones that have like 401ks and healthcare and all that kind of stuff. Are you planning for being old man Leo?
Man, I wish I would have, you know, and I am old man Leo. It
No,
feels
no,
like
not
it.
yet.
I'm 52 and I'm like just starting to like, yeah, I need to think
Okay.
about this more and because I have no other skill set. Like I said, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna start a punk rock band again and go back out on tour and
There you go. The broken hip tour. Yeah.
yep. Totally.
I just hope I don't ever break this. I would be fucked.
Oh, for the longest time, it was right when I had really heavily started tattooing. I thought I had carpal tunnel syndrome, and I thought, oh my God, my career's ended before it started. Turns out it wasn't carpal tunnel, but it was back stuff that was radiating down. And it was very, very detrimental. Like in the late 90s, early 2000s, I really was worried and didn't know, if I was going to be able to continue to do all of this. Nowadays, that stuff's still there.
Yeah.
I think I just don't feel it. I think I've become so used to living with it and living with the pain that I just don't register it very much. When I am actually feeling a bunch of pain, it's because it's beyond the norm, you
Okay.
know? So I do some PT stuff, but not as much as I used to, and I need to get on it. That's the bad thing is that now I don't feel it as much, so I don't take care of it as much, you know? Um,
Yeah, because I'm having the back issues now, between doing the art direction, design, all that crap, and then wanting to paint and just pushing too much.
yeah,
And it's just all kind of a mess. And it's constantly spasming out. So I didn't know, like, oh, you have some magical tips on how to fix it. It's like, no, you just get used to
you
it.
just get used to it.
Okay,
You know,
great.
actually, I started standing when I tattoo, and
Smart.
this was, I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago that I started standing instead of sitting down like Gollum.
Yeah.
And man, it's made a huge difference. But I've also noticed that now I've got a bunch of tension up in my neck and my shoulders because I'm standing and I'm like this.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so maybe I'll go back down to sitting at some
We
point.
just vary it up
But I
and
think
down.
that's the key is varying it and being just aware of ergonomics and how you're working. I remember early, in the early 90s, I was tattooing like upside down, trying to get to areas and stuff. And I would kill myself for hours doing that. Um, if I knew then what I know now,
Yeah. But we could then. We were young and limber.
yeah,
Oh, if you woke up tomorrow and you were just rich beyond your wildest imagination, would you still tattoo? Would you still paint? What would you do?
absolutely. But I'd buy a lot more art.
Yeah, that would be.
um, yeah, I've always said like if I was homeless and destitute, I would find a way that I could tattoo on the streets.
That's cool.
Like it's just a part of me, I could never, I don't ever see myself not doing one or the other.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to paint more often and tattoo less, I think, because I've tattooed so much for so long.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine. And I've slowly been doing that is where I'm pulling away from the tattoo thing a little bit more and leaning a little heavier into the painting thing. Um, but if I was filthy rich, I'd do it
That's great.
nonstop. And there's a part of me that thinks that maybe I would not do it as much. But I get like I have to be doing something. Even when I'm sick, I feel like I'm compelled to like I want to be drawing or it's fun.
It is fun. And I feel well, it's a combination of like I feel guilty like I should be working, but also my brain is spinning like you have all these ideas that still need to come to life, bitch, get to
Yep,
work. So that's constantly rolling in
absolutely.
there. Um, we've hit it on a few times. Music, I looked at your Facebook photos and looks like you were a bit of a musician back in the day.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Sing, play? What was your thing?
I played guitar and sang in some bands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like in the early to mid 90s, I was touring all over the country with punk rock bands and playing. I've been to most of the states, not every state, but most of the states,
That's so
in a
cool.
van. it's not a comfortable lifestyle.
I had a lot of friends that did that. I thought it was funny is like, I feel like a lot of times, maybe it's just a Midwest thing, but like punk rockers get a bad rep for being like mean or rude, I don't know, rough around the edges. And there is an element of that, but I always found punkers to be like the kindest, nicest, most fun group to hang out with. I mean,
Yep.
we had one weird guy who had like Gigi Allen parties and stuff like that that got pretty nasty, but for the
Yeah,
most part, everybody
that'll do it.
was really cool, you know?
Yeah, when I discovered punk rock, I was, near Santa Fe, and there was bands that were playing. Um, I went to my first punk show in ninth grade,
Oh,
and saw a couple of bands who were my age, and they were playing in this venue, and it was the most raging music I'd ever heard.
yeah.
And I was blown away, and I was like, these guys are my age. And I went home, and a few months later, I started my first band.
That's so
Um, and the air about things then in the punk rock scene, it was very much uh, this political. Well, I hate to use the word political correctness, but it was very politically motivated, and there was like a lot of people in the scene were vegetarians. They were all working towards humanitarian causes. A lot of the lyrics were about social justice, and there was this feeling that we could change the world, and it very much shaped of who I am, at that early age. As the scene went on and people got older and drugs started coming into the scene and stuff, things went super dark and everything changed. Lyrics changed, the bands changed. It's kind of why I got out of it,
yeah.
because I just didn't want a part of it anymore. It wasn't what it used to be and represent for me anymore.
Yeah.
But that's not what I hold on to about it
Yeah.
anymore. It's that early stuff and what brought me into it in the first place. So there's a part of me that misses playing in a band, but I game with nerds every Monday night instead of playing in a band, and I enjoy that a hell of a lot more these days.
Yeah. You're still getting some camaraderie, and you can put
Yep,
an album on and have the
yep,
music with you.
yep.
So since you're not a stranger,
I just punk rock was such a great outlet for the anger and the frustration
yeah.
and whatever. And fuck, is there a lot of anger and frustration these days with the
Yeah.
political climate and the bullshit that's going on in this country? So
Yeah.
there's a huge part of me that wants to start a band and rage some more.
I'm actually starting to get a little optimistic for some change now, the way things have been coming out
Yeah,
in the news.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's crossed.
Some good little tidbits.
Yeah, aren't they? Well, apparently not very little from some of the memes, but anywho.
Ah,
Do you think you might ever join us on stage at the IX Jam?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So at one of the last IXs in Allentown, uh, I talked with Mark Zug, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to come up."
Yeah.
And then after that, it was several years that I didn't make it to the show. So this year, I had planned on, you know what, I'm gonna do it, and I messaged him way too late. Like I messaged him maybe a couple weeks out from IX.
Oh, yeah. He already
Was
had
like
it set up.
he had already things set up. So for next year, I'm definitely gonna get up there.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be fun. Good. Well, I think I've asked you all my art questions, but I have some silly random questions if you're
yeah,
down.
for sure.
Okay. Well, one, this came up on Oliver's ride home from IX. Was like, if you had to lose either your hearing or your sight, what one would you choose?
Hearing, and it sucks because I love music,
Yeah.
but I love art more.
I couldn't imagine like not being able to see a sunset or to draw or all that kind of stuff. I feel like also like if I lost my sight, I feel like I would feel claustrophobic. I would feel trapped.
Hmm.
Oh. Any,
No, looking at art is, I love making art, but I think my favorite thing in the world is looking at art.
yeah.
And people hate to go to the museum with me because they're like, they've already made the entire rounds and they're like, you ready to go? And I'm like, dude, I'm on the third painting.
Yeah. Looking at every brush stroke and how they use the contrast and all
And
that
that's
good
the thing.
stuff.
I love looking at it up close and kind of trying to reverse engineer things and
Yeah.
figure out, okay, how did they achieve this? What can I use? What, can I walk away with any tools in the tool belt from this? You
Yeah.
know, and that's what IX was for me. Like, it's funny when I went to the first IX that I went to and did the showcase. I was like, man, I'm gonna get in the main show. I'm gonna get in here, and that was not the case, you know. And I got there and realized, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Um, and I grew so much from just being around these artists and this art
Oh
and
yeah.
looking at it in person. You cannot get that from a magazine or from a printed page,
Yeah.
you know. And in those early days, Boris and Julie were painting at their booth.
Yeah.
I remember Justin Sweet was painting at his booth. They still had like the programming and stuff going on, but I ignored all the programming for the most part. At least the first 2 years, I parked my ass next to Boris and
Um,
watched him paint for 5 hours at a time and just asked questions and picked his brain and told him, "Hey, if if this is getting obnoxious, please tell me."
yeah.
I said, "Nope, that's what you're here for.
Just
Now's your
squirt you
chance."
with a spray
Hey,
bottle or something. Shoot you.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I just sat there and asked him and absorbed and watched what he did
Yeah.
and brought that home and tried to apply as much of it as I could. And my own art grew exponentially.
Yeah.
It was the best art school, you know.
Oh yeah. I'll look at my first display and bless her heart, it's not bad for coming for the first time to IX or whatever, but I see like there's no symmetry. There is no like there was just odds and ends of pieces and stuff like that. And just from like going this year to IX and I'll start at the bottom and I'll work up in the main show. And each day, each path, I see something new and I absorb it and I learn something new, or maybe I'll message somebody about their frames or this or that. And I feel like I've gotten the most growth artistically from this one show that we go to every year. And there's no way in hell I would ever miss it. But yeah, it is. It's like a 1 week art school.
Absolutely. I
Amazing.
kick myself that I never did the IMC,
Same.
the Illustration Master class. Every year I said I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to do it this year, but it always came down to I could only afford to either do IX or IMC.
Oh,
And I was buying paintings and art at IX, so I'm like, I'm just gonna just put
yeah.
my money towards that, and it's cool. But man, I kick myself that I didn't take advantage of IMC when it was, and I hope that one day, this last one that they were going to do it in Savannah, Georgia.
I was signed up.
I was signed up too.
Damn it. I was finally
Not
gonna
enough,
go.
and not enough people signed up.
Not enough people.
Damn it.
I was
So
so looking forward to it, but
yeah,
oh well.
but
Well,
maybe.
yeah,
We'll
hopefully
see.
they'll bring it back.
I think the Smart Art School is amazing. That's a great resource for people. I've only done one. I did a class with Donato, and it was incredible. I learned
Cool.
so much off of that. You know,
And that's just online though, right?
it's just online,
You feel
but
like you get
geez,
enough interaction just with an online class?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I felt so. I definitely walked away with more tools in the tool belt and
That's good to know.
different approaches, stuff that I may or may not use. You know, but um, yeah, it was an amazing experience, and this shit just was not available when we were coming up, you know,
No,
but it's
no.
available now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got two more random questions. One is freaking perfect because I had no idea your love for dinosaurs, but what's your favorite dinosaur?
You know, and I don't even know if I'm if I'm pronouncing this right. When I was younger, it was Deinonychus.
I have to
It
Google that.
was the big one of the larger raptors. That
Okay.
was my favorite. But now I've got to go T-Rex, man, the tyrant lizard.
Skinny arms.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
I love the man eaters. I'm sorry. It's like the reptiles. People think I'm insane because, I don't. While I love little bearded dragons and little Pac-Man frogs or whatever, I
Yeah.
like giant monitor lizards and huge reticulated pythons. I like the giants.
They scare the hell out. I've held a boa, I've held a python, all this. I got respect for them as long as they're over there. I don't need them in my life, but I'm glad they have people like you.
It's so funny because I've got respect for them, and have you ever seen the picture of my monitor lizard that I owned?
I think you were
Uh,
holding it like a
yeah,
dog.
yeah,
Jesus,
it's bigger
yeah.
than me. He's like 7.5 feet long.
Mm.
His life with the dragon, and he was such a sweetheart. I'd
Oh,
walk into his enclosure, and he was trying to climb up on me and get on my shoulder, like he wanted to be near you.
it's easier to bite the neck whenever they're up there.
No, no, I don't
Just
smell like
saying.
that.
I'm just now, okay, is it the Gila monster that has the poisonous saliva or something?
Gila
Gila.
monsters, Gila monsters, and Mexican beaded lizards are venomous, and they've newly classified Komodo dragons as venomous. They've got their saliva works a lot like venom. But what I had was an Asian water monitor, which is the second largest lizard in the world after the Komodo dragon, and they don't have nearly that kind of bacteria, but it's still nasty. You don't want to get bit by one.
Yeah.
You could lose a finger or something if it bit you and you know the infection or whatever. But he never, he was a sweetheart. I worked with him since he was little, and he was totally trustworthy. I ended up having to put him down because he got sick, and we battled it for 2 years, and it was heartbreaking. We ended up putting him down, but man, it was magic
Yeah.
sharing my life with a creature like that.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, tiny little house spider,
Yeah.
and screaming and running like I am terrified by spiders.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, I'll play with a jumping spider or something. I'm cool with
Oh
them.
my God. I catch rattlesnakes. I go hiking and I catch
Nope.
rattlesnakes on the mountain and relocate them and have no fear whatsoever. I'd jump in a river with the crocodile and make friends. But a house spider, no thank you.
It's funny because, like, in my brain, it's like I know a lot about snakes and I think they're beautiful. I've painted them. But just something primal in me whenever it's mainly when they catch me by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, no thanks.
I think it's the locomotion that's so freaky for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's part of it with the spiders. Like, black widows, I have them all over they're all over my porch and stuff, and they don't scare me near as much as a little wolf spider in the house.
Really?
That wolf spider is totally harmless, but it's scary and it's big and it runs after me and
They
it's
do, they
terrifying.
do. Yes.
The
We have those around here.
Black Widow stays in its corner on its web. It's not
Yeah.
coming after me. You're fine over there. I'll be over here, and they don't freak me out as much, even though they're venomous. It's weird. It's not it's a phobia that has no logic.
It is what it is. But yeah, well, even though lizards aren't my thing, I'm sorry to hear about yours. I mean, it's so special sharing your time with another creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I have one more, and it's a very serious question. Are you ready?
All right. Hold on.
Okay. Who's
All
your
right.
favorite golden girl and why?
Who's my favorite golden girl? Uh, I think who's the old lady, Sophia?
Sophia.
I think she was my favorite because she was just so snappy, man.
She's a saucy bitch. I
Yeah,
love her.
totally. Yeah, she had more grit than any of them. So
Oh my God, yeah. But also B. Arthur's face. I love them all. But it came up in our when we were texting. So I was like, oh my, I have to know. Oh, and if you have any extras of that shirt, that would be cool. I'd order one of
I
those.
want to make more of those. It was a local T-shirt guy here that just made a one off for me, and I've told him over the years, dude, we need to make these.
Hell yeah.
Here's a weird thing that always I've told people my favorite TV show of all time,
Okay.
not what you would imagine with
Yeah.
my background or whatever, but Little House on the Prairie. It's my
Oh,
favorite TV show of all time since I was a kid. I love that show, and I've had friends that have told me, "Man, I always thought you were weird, but that's really weird."
Oh, I love that. I loved it as a kid. Does it hold up?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. I have
Sweet.
the hold on.
Oh,
I have the complete series, and it comes in a little house.
oh my God, that's so rad.
The roof
I
comes,
love it.
DVDs are inside.
That is the sweetest freaking thing.
Here's I'll leave you this too.
Okay.
So my first tattoo that I ever got, I was 16 years old, I believe. And I decided to do my own tattoo, unbeknownst to my parents. I did a
Oh,
hand poked tattoo on me. And, I was this creepy little punk rock goth kid. So I
yeah.
wanted a graveyard on um, my leg. Hold on, let me grab a pen.
Okay.
This requires a demonstration.
Oh,
So I wanted a graveyard on my leg, right?
yeah.
So I, so I drew a gravestone like such,
Very
right?
nice. Yeah.
And then it needs some ground for it to sit on. So I drew a little bit of ground,
Yeah.
and then I filled it in. And all my friends said, "Nice hat."
It looks like a little top hat.
And I said, "No, it's a gravestone." They're like, "No, dude, it's a hat." And I was like, "Damn." And I was so bummed out that I had a hat tattoo. And when I got my first set of professional equipment, the first thing I did was I covered up the hat.
Oh,
Now I kick myself because it was my very first tattoo. It was ugly as shit. It was hilarious.
yeah.
I should have kept it. So people get these, in loving memory memorial tattoos. I've talked about this for years, and I'm going to do it. I want a loving memory memorial tattoo of my first tattoo,
I
and I
love
want to
that.
get a hat with RIP on the brim, representing the gravestone. But I've been thinking about it, and I think I'm going to get Pa Ingalls' hat.
Perfect. Combining the loves with your personal history. Fantastic. That is so awesome. Oh, gosh, before we sign off, where can people see your work? Websites?
Yes,
Anything?
there's my personal website, www.leogonzales.com.
Okay.
It needs a serious revamping, so working on that, but it'll get there. I mainly post most of my art on Instagram, and
Okay.
I can be found on Instagram at Cthuleo at CTHULEO.
Okay. Right on.
Um, and then I'm on Facebook as well, but Facebook seems to be more like I do post art there, but I also get a little politically meh on there. I get a little more personal, a little bit more of my personal life seeps into the Facebook thing. I try to keep the Instagram as more the professional page.
Same. I get you. Well, shit, this has been a treasure of a talk.
Thanks for
Very
having
fun.
me. It's been
Thank you for
awesome.
coming on. Is there anything else you wanted to add or you good?
Um, Not off the top of my head.
All right. Well, you are a delight, sir. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me.
Thank you for having me, and hopefully I'll see you at Gen Con. I
Hell
will
yeah.
definitely see you, hopefully, at IX.
Yes. Well, even if you get into Gen Con and I don't, I live local, so I'm going regardless, just so I can see
Oh,
everybody.
dude, I was local to that. I'd be camped out there every year, all
Every year.
day.
Yep. I just hit everybody up and be like, okay, who's got an extra boot or extra badge? And then, yep, I'm there.
Right. We got to get you in the game. Gonna turn you into a gamer.
Amy, I got a friend of mine in California. He keeps telling me he's like, I'll teach you how to do it. I'll run a campaign. It'll be a small one so that I can learn how to play D&D. Because I don't know, I feel like a bad friend. I have so many of you guys that like work on these games and stuff, but I'm clueless. So I'll have to try one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.